Let's close off this episode with a discussion about the MVP of WWE in the year of 2025. It's John Cena for a lot of people, and I won't disagree with you on that. But I think that you should agree with me on this. If it's John Cena number one, and I think by default it probably has to be, because it's his retirement tour, and he's had some of the greatest matches of all time, aka the AJ Styles and the Cody Rhodes, and yeah, those matches. So he's probably the MVP of WWE in 2025. That's fine. I will admit to that. But a close second is the man that just beat him for the Intercontinental Championship. Dirty Dominik Mysterio. What a moment for Dirty Dom in his hometown of San Diego. Liv Morgan returns. We'll get to that to close out the show. Dom defeats John Cena. He wins back his Intercontinental Championship, and now, and only now, is he being recognized universally as somebody who is potentially the future of this industry sooner rather than later. But let's not forget, he's been doing this all year long. Look at Dom at the big 4 PLEs of 2025. Now that those have wrapped up, Royal Rumble, he enters at the very end of a murderer's row of Royal Rumble entries. That's the spot they put him in. Let's go down through it. Roman Reigns enters. Then Drew McIntyre enters. Finn Balor. Shinsuke Nakamura. By the way, all former world champions. Jey Uso. AJ Styles returns. Braun Strowman. Yeah, that was this year. John Cena. CM Punk. Seth Rollins. That trio in a row. The place was rocking in Indy at Lucas Oil. And then Dirty Dominik Mysterio at the height of his heel powers after everybody's been jumping off the walls with and then the cult of personality and then burn it down. And then it's Dom. And the place erupted in a different way whenever Dominik Mysterio came out and ended the party. And as a heel, that's what you're supposed to do. That was his Royal Rumble. And then the last 3, all he did was go undefeated in all title matches. He wins his first Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 41 to a raucous response from Allegiant Stadium. He pins Finn Balor. He beats in that match Braun Breaker. He beats in that match Penta. So he's already on the biggest stage going over some of the bigger names on Monday Night Raw. Penta, who was at that point having a rocket ship strapped to his back. Braun Breaker, we've talked about where he's gone since then. And instead of those people winning, it's Dominik Mysterio who walks out as the Intercontinental Champion. Then you go to SummerSlam. He pins AJ Styles. He pins him one-on-one, gets the better of AJ Styles. Now, does have his signature lie, cheat, and steal touch added to it, but that's what Dominik Mysterio is. Love him or hate him, that's what he is. I, for one, love him for it. And then you go to Survivor Series, he pins John Cena to win back his Intercontinental title. I mean, on top of all of that, you add on the AAA Mega Championship and the fact that, in general, his first Intercontinental title reign, was 204 days. It's one of the better title reigns we've seen in 2025. And now you have him and Liv Morgan leading a Judgment Day faction that has survived this year despite a lot of infighting and now looks to be poised to be stronger than ever. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when you look at the resume, it's hard to argue that, yes, John Cena, by default, because of his retirement tour, because of what he did the 25 plus years leading into this year, is going to be everybody's WWE MVP in 2025. But Dom Mysterio deserves some respect. Certainly does. Because you look around, the World Heavyweight Championship, it bounced around. And a lot of the guys that have won it have taken a lot of time off. Jey Uso hasn't, but at the end of the day, I think he has taken off. But Dom Mysterio has taken off on a different level, at a different trajectory. Enough so that he was John Cena's not only last PLE match, but he was John Cena's last feud. We're not going to get a feud between Cena and his last opponent. It's just, you win the tournament, I'll see you there. In Washington, D.C. John Cena's last feud went to Dom Mysterio. And while John Cena took 2 of 3, if you include that 6-man tag on his last Monday Night Raw, Dominik Mysterio walked away with gold. And that, at the end of the day, is everything that Dom Mysterio wanted. His gold and his girl. And that's what he got at Survivor Series. I'm telling you, he's the MVP of WWE in 2025, with the small exception of the greatest of all time, John Cena. Now, to close it out, I do want to quickly mention this. Liv Dom and the Judgment Day, that's a story that's going to be worth watching. Liv is setting Judgment Day back on course, right? She mentioned Finn and JD, I noticed you don't have your titles anymore. Raquel, when I left you with 2 belts, and now you have none. What's going on with that? With the exception of Dom, we look like a bunch of losers out here. And that, to me, brings up Finn Balor's story, which we can get into in a later episode. But it's going to be very fascinating. Liv essentially used Finn to infiltrate the Judgment Day and to get close to Dominik Mysterio. That way she could push out Rhea Ripley. That way she could push out Damian Priest. And Finn wanted Priest out, so he saw this as mutually beneficial. He'll help Liv get into the Judgment Day so they can kick out Damian and Rhea. And Finn thought, that leaves me at, for lack of a better term, I'm at the head of the table at Judgment Day. Instead, now, when Liv comes back, that plan is no longer, because Dom doesn't need to be separated from Rhea. Dom doesn't need to be guided, because you look at what happened since Liv's been out. He hasn't kind of gone off with Roxanne Perez. He hasn't done anything but be loyal to Liv Morgan. She knows, hey, this is a different version of Dom. This is a version of Dom that I could run Judgment Day with, instead of running Judgment Day for Finn while he thought he was in charge too. Liv was pulling the strings. Now it's Liv and Dom that are going to control it, because Dom isn't dependent on anybody else. How often did Dom used to call Finn the father who stepped up? When's the last time we heard that? He doesn't see Finn in the same light. He's starting to see himself as eclipsing Finn Balor, which makes Finn have to take a back seat. So all this time, I've been thinking, well, Dom's going to get kicked out of the Judgment Day. Liv might be going with them, and he's going to start his own trajectory. Instead, maybe Dom's the boss. Maybe Dom and Liv are the patriarch and the matriarch of the Judgment Day, and it's Finn Balor who gets cast out and cast aside. That's something that I will be keeping a very close eye on, because, as most of you know, Finn Balor, one of my all-time favorites. So that's a story I'm very excited about, because that's a story that gives Finn Balor more screen time and potentially a reinvigorated singles run, separate potentially from the Judgment Day. But that's going to do it for this episode of Bell to Bell. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember, if you enjoy this content, to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube at my channel, Nick Belsky. Or if you prefer audio versions, you can find Bell to Bell on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's going to do it for this one. We'll see you guys next time.